right, welcome to the webinar today. I'm excited to talk about LinkedIn with you. Thank you for joining us. My name is Chrissy Francis, and I'm a career counselor in the Career Development Center at Hamlin. If you have any questions throughout this webinar, feel free to type them into the chat box. We'll address those questions at the very end of the webinar. So today I'm planning on going through a brief overview of what LinkedIn is, really spend a lot of time talking about how to create your profile, have a little bit of conversation of how to build your contacts. That's a very important part of LinkedIn. And then talk about different ways to use the site to research people, companies, jobs, and groups. So I found this image, and I think it's just a little humorous. It talks about different social media sites. And I think it can be kind of confusing to figure out how do you use all these different social media sites and what's the purpose of each one. You can see on here that LinkedIn is down below where it says, my skills include donut eating. And LinkedIn definitely is a professional networking site. It's meant primarily to talk about your academic history and progress and also your career background. So you'll see what that looks like in just a moment here. And I should have said before that as I go through this webinar here, feel free to edit your profile if you currently have one. If you're not on LinkedIn yet and you just want to learn more about how to use the system, feel free to just listen as I go. So I'm going to show you a quick video here that has kind of a nice overview of what LinkedIn is. You may need to adjust your volume just a little bit when this video starts. So I'll share my screen with you. It might have just a little bit of lag time, and then we'll come back to this screen here.
Watching this, chances are good you want to get a job. You want to go from student to rising star, and you want to avoid eating the same meal over and over and over again. Good news, you're in the right place. That's right, LinkedIn. It's not just for top executives. It's not just for old people with heavy briefcases. It's for you, and it's the perfect place for you to start your professional story. Say you want to get a job in New York City. You've never been there before, but that's okay because you have LinkedIn on your side. Start by creating your profile. Give it love because you know it's recruiters are looking for day and night. It's your resume that never sleeps. It's your flash neon sign that says, hire me, for the love of all that is good in this world, hire me. Then you start making connections. Alumni works in New York? Yes. Recruiters at top companies in New York? Yes. Your mom's best friend? Yes. Start imagining whose shoes you want to walk in. You think, wow, this is a lot of deep stuff to consider. You shake yourself out of it and start searching for jobs. Whoa, that's a lot of jobs for students. Time to get down to business. You start to tailor your profile. You start applying. You feel empowered. Control. Like you should be CEO. That gives you an idea. You look up all the CEOs of all the companies you want to work at. You see one of them went to your university. Then it hits you. You see a clear path from campus to career. You feel like you can see the future. You wonder if you're psychic. Should you start a hotline? No. Back to plan A. You keep tailoring and connecting and applying. And before you know it, you start getting responses. First a few, then more, then an interview, and then you're hired. And that's when the real learning begins.
All right, so I like that video just because I think it gives a nice broad overview of all the different ways that LinkedIn can be really effective for you. The next screen here has some different statistics about who all uses LinkedIn, and it is a really big system. It's growing constantly. Students and recent graduates is actually LinkedIn's fastest growing population. So if you're a student or an alum on this webinar right now, this is definitely a system that you should be jumping on board with and becoming part of. I oftentimes meet with students and they say, well, I don't think I need to start using it yet. And I would definitely disagree. I think the sooner you can start with the system, the easier it will be to help build your contacts over time, and then the system will be much more useful for you in the long run. So it's a worldwide system. Oftentimes it's helpful if you want to move to a different location or if you're job searching elsewhere. This is a really good place to find people, even alums that you can connect to and learn about career opportunities in that area. Worldwide. So lots of companies are also on here, over 3 million companies. Like I said, students and recent grads is a huge population on here as well. So there's lots of helpful uses, so I just really encourage everyone to get on board with this if you don't already have a profile. And if you already do have a profile, just start using it more frequently as well. All right, so how can LinkedIn help you? I think of LinkedIn as kind of a virtual Rolodex. I don't know if many of you are familiar with Rolodexes, but it's just a way to organize business cards. It's the same thing with LinkedIn. It really helps you kind of organize your professional contacts. Anytime you meet with a professional, I always encourage LinkedIn users to connect with them on this system as well, because it's a really easy way to sort through your contacts. You might remember that one of your contacts worked at a certain company, but you can't remember their name, or vice versa. It's a really easy way to sort, and you can organize your contacts that way. It's also another really good way to build a positive online presence. It used to be very common that professionals would say, lock down your social media accounts. You don't want to be found. When you're interviewing and applying for different positions, your employers and recruiters are definitely searching for you online. They want to see what they can find. And I would agree, if you have negative stuff out there, you don't want that to be found. But LinkedIn is a really good way to have a positive online presence, and the recruiters and professionals do want to see that. So you can see a nice professional profile. It allows you to have an online presence, which is really important. There's also tons of companies on here. It allows you to do research for companies that you might potentially want to work at or do business with. You can learn about different career paths, what people in your shoes have done in the past, where they started and where they ended up. There are jobs on this system as well, which I think is really helpful. You can find lots of opportunities, even internship opportunities. And it's just a really good way to keep practicing your networking skills. Networks are huge, and it's very important to maintain your networks, and this makes it really easy to do that. So before we really dig into things, I wanted to provide a few different resources for you. My colleague Amelia is going to be sending these links through the chat window to you as well, since I know you can't click on them in this screen here. LinkedIn.com/help. This is a really good resource in case you have any questions about LinkedIn. It's kind of like a Google just for LinkedIn. I oftentimes go here if there are questions I have that are maybe a little bit niche. Maybe I don't use something within the system all that often. Now I want more help in figuring out how to use it. You can go here, type in any question you have, and usually there's a very good response, and it teaches you how to use the system very well. University.linkedin.com. This is another really good resource. There are videos and tip sheets. The video that I just played for you, that came from this website as well. Variety of different tip sheets, such as how to build your contacts, how to maintain your network, how to job search using LinkedIn. And even if you're not a student, I think the resources in that website are very helpful. And then there are additional resources through students.linkedin.com. And this also allows you to have kind of a job search filter already set up for you within LinkedIn Jobs. So if you go to this site and you're a current student, it will allow you to find entry-level positions, which can be really helpful. I hear from a lot of students that it's frustrating to find jobs that it seems like they're always asking for 5 years of experience or more, and you don't have it quite yet. This filters them down for you, so you don't have to waste your time looking through positions that you don't yet qualify for. Okay, so we're going to jump into editing the profile. For those of you that already have a LinkedIn profile set up, I want you to do these few steps. If you're just starting off today and you don't have a profile yet, or you're not currently using LinkedIn, don't worry about doing these next few steps here. So on the main screen of your LinkedIn profile, you're going to see kind of down on the right-hand side of your screen where it says notify your network. This is the red box that I've highlighted on my screen here. You want to turn that yes to no. And what this is saying is if you're actively editing your profile today as we go along, or if you're planning on doing it right after you're done with the webinar here, this will allow you to make all of these edits on your profile without everything being blasted to your network. You just don't want to bother your network if you're making a ton of different updates. In general, it's nice if you have a new job that you're adding or a new skill that you're adding to your profile. You do want your network to know about those, but if you're making 20 different changes today, they're going to be notified with every single change, so you just don't want to bug them yet. So I would recommend turning that off. After you're done editing your profile, remember to turn that back on again, because it is important. It's another nice way to stay kind of on other people's radars. So turn it back on when you're ready. The next setting that I want you to edit if you are currently using LinkedIn right now is through the Privacy and Settings tab. If you look at your main profile up in the very right-hand corner, you're going to see your photo or the little bubble head if you haven't uploaded a photo yet. And then click on Privacy and Settings. And then there is kind of a middle tab on that main screen that says Privacy. So you want to click on that one. And then under Profile Viewing Options, I would encourage you to change what people see when you view their profile for today. And again, while you're editing and kind of brainstorming how you can use the system. I like the private mode because this means we can snoop on other people's profiles and they won't know who you are quite yet. Generally, when you click on someone's profile, like what I have selected for me right now, people can see my name and my headline. And that's a good thing usually. Because people will be notified of who's looking at their profile. They can go back and if it's set up that they can see who I am. And that's a good thing. I want to be found on LinkedIn. That's the whole purpose of it. But if I'm just starting to build my profile or if I don't feel very confident with how I'm using it yet, maybe I don't have a lot of contacts, I haven't uploaded a photo, maybe I don't have my experience listed, I don't want to be seen quite yet. Because what happens is if I had my name on I had my name in my headline as an option that people could see, I want to impress them right away. But if I don't have a photo uploaded, if my profile is not complete, I will probably not be impressing them and creating a good first impression. So just change it to private mode for now. And then, again, once you're done editing and you feel really good about your profile, go back and turn that on to your name and headline. I think that's a nice strategy. Okay, and then to get out of this, you just click back on your profile to get to the main screen. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to talk about how to build your LinkedIn profile. And just as a heads up, sometimes I accidentally say resume because they're so similar, but I really mean profile. So just in case I make a mistake. So there's a few main things that are really important to have on a LinkedIn profile. The first thing is a photo. This is pretty important. You want to be seen. And even if you just look through contacts that you may have on LinkedIn or the people you may know function, if you're seeing a name and there's no photo there, you're probably not going to pay much attention to them. It's not going to make you feel positive about that person's profile. So it's pretty important to have this photo. You don't need to do anything super fancy for this photo. You just want to make sure that it's a professional looking photo. This example, you can see that the student is outside. There's some trees in the background that are blurred out. That's just fine. Generally, you want the photo to be from your shoulders up, so it's a nice kind of zoomed in image of your face. You can do a nice photo just with your phone if you need to. Just make sure the background behind you is pretty simple. Make sure that you're wearing something that looks somewhat professional. Make sure you're smiling. You don't want to take a photo that you've taken at a party last weekend with one of your friends and then crop out your friend. People are going to notice that you've cropping people out. It doesn't look super professional. So just make sure that you get a nice, good headshot in here. The next main component to put into your profile is a headline. And this is the line that's right under this person's name. So it says Econ Major and Aspiring Financial Analyst. That's an example of a headline. When you're in your profile in the edit mode, anything that has a little blue pencil next to it, you can edit those fields. So feel free to edit as many different things as you want to make sure that your profile is doing what you want it to. In this headline, I believe the default that LinkedIn will put in there if you haven't done it yourself is your current position, so your title and where you're working. For some people, that's great. For some people, you may be looking for a different opportunity, or maybe the position that you hold right now isn't that impressive and you don't want that to be the first thing that people see about you. So you can create that and make it into what you want. If you're a current student, a nice strategy is to talk about what you're studying, and maybe if you're looking for something in particular, to include that in the headline. If you're currently working somewhere, you can jazz up your title a little bit if you'd like to. You can include different keywords into that headline. And a lot of recruiters use LinkedIn. When they're looking for new talent and new candidates, oftentimes they will look for keywords that are relevant in their field, but they'll also look for the keywords that say seeking or looking for. So if you put that right in your headline, it could be econ major seeking financial analyst internships. Recruiters will know that you're looking for opportunities. So that's kind of a nice strategy as well. You can do a lot of different things with that headline, but just make sure that what you want to be known for is pretty apparent in that headline. The next thing on your profile that I like having come right below that main box with your photo and name is a summary section. And in this section, you're basically writing about your key skills, what you want to be known for. I think of it as a little mini cover letter. So talking about past experiences you've held that are pretty significant. Maybe you've worked on a branding statement, that would be something to put in your summary section. Keeping it specific to the field that you want to get into, I think, is pretty helpful as well. Or maybe there's a couple of different areas that you're interested in, you could talk about those. And I added keywords into this section because keywords are really important to use in your profile. Like I mentioned, recruiters are using this system. The more relevant keywords you get into your profile, maybe in that summary section or when you're describing your experiences, the easier it will be to find your profile. If other people are searching for a new candidate, you'll pop up more readily if you have relevant keywords. And a good way to figure out what those keywords might be, there's a couple of different options. One would be to look at other people's profiles that are doing the work that you want to do. So this is where snooping around and looking at others can really help you. Read their summary, see what they have written. Sometimes they have really good summaries, sometimes people don't have anything there. So look at a few different people's profiles, different professionals that are in your field. You can also look at different career research websites to figure out, all right, people with this type of a career title, what types of backgrounds do they typically have, what skills do they have, what experiences are pretty common for them. The other note that I have on this slide is to customize your URL. So right below your photo, you can see the URL that's listed here. If you haven't edited this yet, what happens is LinkedIn will put in random letters and numbers for you. So what you want to do is click on that little blue wheel that's next to your URL, and that will allow you to customize it. So when you click on the wheel, this page will pop up for you. And you can type in your first and last name, I think is a nice option. I had to put a middle initial in mine because Christine Francis was already taken. You could put in a number after your first and last name or flip-flop the order, and then save it. And LinkedIn will let you know if it's already taken or if it's available. And the nice thing about customizing this URL is it looks nice and clean on your profile, but you can also copy and paste that into your email signature. You could put it in the heading of your resume. If you have a personal website, you can include it on there, but it's nice and clean. Going back to the profile, there are a lot of other categories that you can add. One is experience, and this will probably look pretty similar to your resume. So if you're working on updating your resume and your LinkedIn profile at the same time, I say just focus on one of them, probably start with your resume. Once you feel like that's looking really good, you can literally copy and paste your experiences onto your LinkedIn profile. Keep it easy for yourself. If you're just tweaking things, you can definitely make adjustments on here as well. But if you're starting from scratch, just copy and pasting from your resume that's been edited is a nice idea. So when you're including experiences, you can include part-time jobs, full-time jobs. There's a volunteer experience section as well. And what I love about LinkedIn is it's very connected. So if I were to type in my company name, like in this example, it's Berkeley Ventures, you can see the logo on the very right-hand side of the screen here. If I were to click on that, it would bring up the company page for Berkeley Ventures. So it makes it really nice to connect everything. So if perhaps I was looking at this person's profile and I didn't know about that company, I could just click on the logo and now I could learn all about the company and get a better sense for what he did there. So I think that's really nice. You want to make sure that you include your title, the dates that you began working there, as well as the dates that you finished working there, or if you're currently working there, you can say through present. And then a description of what you've done in that organization. There are less rules to your LinkedIn profile than there are to resume writing. So in general, on resumes, you want to avoid using personal pronouns. That's not necessarily the case for LinkedIn. It's certainly fine to avoid using personal pronouns on here as well, but there aren't quite as many rules. So if you want to be a little bit more descriptive with your experiences and say that you did this or I did that, go for it. If you want to use a paragraph style in here, you can go for that as well, or you can use bullet points. You may need to copy and paste those bullet points in from your resume, though. I haven't figured out a way to add them in myself right into LinkedIn. So make sure that you include lots of different experiences that you've held. You can see in this example, there is a presentation that this person uploaded. I'll show you how to do that in just one moment, but that's a really nice way to add a lot of relevancy and more detail to your profile that your resume may not have. Organizations is another option that you can add to your profile here. If you've been part of any clubs or orgs as a student or as a working professional, if you're part of any organizations, you can include that information and also a description of what you've done there. All right, so this is an example of how you can add different media to your profile. So that presentation that we just saw, that was an example of different media. Within each section on your profile, you'll see something that looks like this. So it says Add Media, and you can select Document, Photo, Link, Video, or Presentation. If you have something that you think would add value to your experience to kind of show what you've done, I think it's always a good idea to add this. Kind of like an online portfolio, but right through your LinkedIn profile, which makes it really easy and friendly. So if you've done a presentation for class or for work, you can upload that. Maybe you created a video. You can link to an outside website. Maybe there was an article written about you. You can link to it right there. Or if there's a photo that kind of displays the type of work that you can do, or maybe a project or a presentation that you've done, you can certainly upload that as well. And you can upload multiple media types to one experience. So this was just an example from my summary section. I didn't really have anything that I felt like I wanted to add to my summary, so I haven't done that. But I've added a lot of different types of media to my work experience. And again, that's a nice way if someone was looking at your profile to potentially hire you or to see what you're capable of doing. It's a nice way to really show what you're capable of and different things that you can contribute to a working environment or a classroom environment as well. So here are some other sections that you can add to your profile. Education is very important. Make sure that you put Hamline University on here if that's where you went to school, the type of degree that you're getting, as well as your major. If you need to check into your type of degree, go ahead and do some research and check on it. If you're a current student, sometimes I've met with people that aren't sure what type of degree they're getting. This is pretty important, so make sure that you have the correct information on here. If you've studied abroad, you can certainly include that in your education section as well. If you've attended other universities and maybe you transferred, that's all fair game. You can have all of that information in here. Here's an example of the volunteer experience section. You can list the organization that you volunteered with, the title that you held, how long you were in that role, and a description of what it was that you've done here. And all of these sections, I would say, with the exception of education, experience, and summary, are optional. Really, they're all optional, but I don't think your profile would do a very good job articulating who you are if you don't have those three for sure. But all these other categories are optional. So if you feel like you don't have any volunteer experience to put on your profile, that's just fine. Leave that section off. You don't have to add everything on here that doesn't apply to you. The third section on this screen is the skills and experience category. So this is kind of a unique category within LinkedIn where you can type in specific skills that you want to be known for or skills that you think you already have. Again, you might need to brainstorm a little bit. You could look at other people's profiles, go to different career research websites to figure out what types of skills do those types of professionals have. And you're just going to type in those keywords. So you might be noticing all the photos next to the skills. This basically means that the people whose photos are there, they have endorsed you for that skill. So they've clicked on it and said, yep, this person knows about econ. This section, I have different feelings about. And the reason for that is it's really nice to see how people are viewing your skills. So if I were this person and I saw econ at the very top of my list because 12 people haven't endorsed me for that skill, say, great. Whatever I'm doing is working. I want to be known for econ. So it's kind of a nice check on your personal brand. However, the other reason I kind of dislike this section is because oftentimes people will endorse others for skills and they have no idea if they have that skill or not. And I think it's just lack of awareness and knowledge. Sometimes people don't understand how to use that section. And LinkedIn also prompts other users to endorse their connections for skills that they may have. So it makes it really easy for other people to endorse you. Usually pops up at the top of your own profile and it'll say, so-and-so, do you want to endorse so-and-so for this skill? And you could just easily click on it and now you've endorsed them. So take it with a grain of salt. All of these endorsements you can delete if you feel like they're not accurate. You can remove them from your profile under your settings section. But I do think it's nice to have a variety of skills on here. Shoot for at least 5 that you could put on. 10 is even better. And you can see how people are endorsing you for those skills if you're known for the things that you want to be known for. Sometimes people ask me about adding a skill to this section that they feel like they're not skilled in, but they just want to know, should I put it on that section? What should I do with that? I would take those areas that you maybe are learning more about right now or that you need to know in the future and put them in your interest section. So that's a different category on this profile that you could add. And you can just list out those keywords. And again, it's a nice way if people are searching by keywords, searching different profiles, yours will still pop up because you have those keywords in your profile, but you're not saying that it's a skill yet, but you're interested in learning more about it. The last section on here is honors and awards. Any honors and awards that you've achieved, be sure to put these on. You kind of have to brag about yourself a little bit when you're in the career world, looking for jobs, looking for internships, or just kind of promoting who you are. You should be showing honors and awards that you've received. So if you have any, be sure to put them on your profile as well. If you're currently a student, you can certainly add courses onto your profile that you've taken. They could be courses from other areas outside of your major and you want to show some kind of breadth of study, or they could be courses within your major that show some uniqueness or your advanced skills that you've already learned throughout your classes. I kind of people from listing all of their classes that they've ever taken. I think that looks a little excessive, and you want to kind of really keep it focused on here. There's an example of projects that you can include on your profile. Again, significant things that you've worked on, you can describe your project. And then this last section here are recommendations. And recommendations are a really nice section to be able to have other people basically say how they know you in a working capacity. These will pop up on your profile. I'll show you how to do those in just one moment. But getting a wide variety of recommendations can really be helpful. These are just some other examples of different sections to your profile that you can add. Like I mentioned before, don't force it if these categories don't fit you. That's okay, you don't have to add them all. But if you do see some on here that seem like you would have information to add, feel free to add it. And this, you'll be able to see this window kind of towards the top of your profile. There's a drop-down menu where you can see all these additional boxes. Just click on one if you want to add it, and then you can type in your information that way. One thing that I do encourage a lot of people to add is under this, the interest section, I talked about that, adding some of those skills, but then there is another section, and I believe it's called advice for contacting you. If you add that to your profile, it's a really easy way to put your email address out there for people to be able to contact you. And the reason for that is sometimes when you're trying to connect with people on LinkedIn, LinkedIn will prompt you to insert either how you know this person, so colleague, classmate, you've done business together, or if you say other, it may prompt you to insert their email address. So I've found if I include my email address on my profile, people can easily see that, copy and paste it when they connect with me, and it makes it a really easy way for me to select if I want to connect with them or not, and LinkedIn's not preventing that from happening. So I would encourage all of you to add that information in advice for contacting you. So here is a screenshot of how you can ask for those recommendations. LinkedIn, one of the good things about it and kind of one of the frustrating things about it is they're constantly changing the layout and the design and where they're housing things, so you kind of have to stay on top of it. Right now, LinkedIn has changed where they're housing this recommendations section, and it's a little clunky to get to right now. So one option would be to go to linkedin.com/recs/ask, and this will pop up a window where you can ask for recommendations. This is also copied to you in the chat window right now too, so you can just click on that if you'd like. Otherwise, if you want to go back up to your settings, which again was under your little photo in the right-hand corner of your screen, under privacy and settings, you're going to, at the very bottom, there's a little option to see previous version of settings. Click on that, and this screen will pop up for you. Right now, I haven't figured out how to find it through going through your profile or settings. So if you know where that is, feel free to let me know, and I will pass that on to others. But for right now, this is the best way that I can figure out of how you can access that. So what you want to do in that previous version, click on Manage Your Recommendations. And then there's an option where you can see those that you've received. Maybe you've already written recommendations for someone. You can see those in here. You can give recommendations to people, and you can also ask for them. And again, this is one of those things that you don't want to be shy about asking for. It's expected and completely okay for you to ask people to write you a recommendation. The nice thing about doing it on LinkedIn is it's really only a paragraph long. It's not like asking someone to write you a whole letter of recommendation. And LinkedIn makes it really easy for you. So you can see for number 1 here on the screen, I would have a drop-down menu and I can select what position that I want to be recommended for. So right now, career counselor is the one that popped up for me. And then I can type in who do I want to recommend me for this position. So maybe I want to ask one of my colleagues that I work with that knows me pretty well if they could write me a recommendation. So I would just start typing in their name and it will populate it. The catch to this system is if there's someone that you want to write you a recommendation, they have to already have a LinkedIn profile. Otherwise, it won't work. So just keep that in mind. And then I can customize my message. So you want to make sure that you are editing that message and making it pretty specific. So this is the generic message that LinkedIn generated for me. I'd probably change it and I would say, dear whoever I'm asking, I'm wondering if you would mind writing me a recommendation for, I don't know if there's a specific project that we worked on together, or I would just tailor it a little bit and ask for what I'm hoping to be recommended for. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you for your assistance, and then sign it, and you can send this off. The worst that can happen is they don't write you a recommendation. So I always say ask. If they don't have time to do it now, or if they don't want to, they just won't do it, but at least you asked. When they do write you a recommendation, you're going to get notified of this. You can edit it if you need to. You have to send it back to that person. So maybe they titled your project incorrectly. You could send it back and say, you know, thank you so much for writing me this recommendation. That was very nice of you. Would you mind changing the title of that project to, and then list out whatever it is. It'll go back to them, and then you'll be notified once it's complete. You can also delete recommendations that are already on your profile, or you can set it up that you need to approve it before it's posted to your profile as well. So feel free to edit all of your settings within recommendations that way. All right, so moving on to building your network, there are a number of different ways to build connections, and LinkedIn, it uses its search functions and everything based on the connections that you already have. So it's really important to add as many people that you know. There are some people on LinkedIn, they're called Lions, which is kind of funny, but they're LinkedIn open networkers. So they want to connect with any and everyone. You can choose how you want to connect with people. My personal philosophy is if I know them or if I have some sort of a connection with them, like for example, oftentimes Hamlin students or alums that I haven't met with yet, I'll still connect with them because I know we have something in common, and it could be helpful at some point in time. If I get LinkedIn invitations from people that I do not know, generally I send them a message back and I'll say, thanks so much for the invitation to connect. Can you remind me of how we met or if there's a particular reason you'd like to connect? Sometimes I never hear back from them and then I just ignore their request. Sometimes they do send something back and they'll say, oh, we haven't met yet, but I would love to learn more about career counseling, for example, and I thought you would be a great person to connect with. Then at least I know why they're hoping to connect. So build your contacts in whichever way you feel most comfortable, but I'll show you a couple of different ways to add connections right now. So on your main screen, there's a tab at the very top that says My Network. If you click on that, it'll be a drop-down menu, and you can select people you may know. So if you've already started connecting with some people on LinkedIn, this usually works pretty well. They'll sort and filter people that they think you probably know, either based on where you're working or the school that you're going to or other connections that you may have. And a screen like this will pop up. So I can see the name, the title, and a photo of these people if they have it. And this is a really good example of how you can see my eyes are drawn to the people that do have the photos. Those that don't, either it means that they're not currently on LinkedIn, like in this example, Nikki and Apurva, they do not already have a profile because it says invite to join. Otherwise, Michelle, that very first head, you can see she's already on here, but she doesn't have a photo. So it's not quite as easy to recognize who she is. So again, upload a photo. If you see people on this screen that you actually know and you'd like to connect to, I would be careful of using that connect button right below their photo because a generic message will be sent to them. Really the only safe way to send a good message and invitation is to click on their name or their photo to get into their profile. So I'd recommend doing that, but this is a nice way to see those people that you might already know. This is another option. You could look up at the very top, there's a search bar of it's a drop-down menu, and you can select people, companies, jobs, all sorts of different things up there. So in this search bar, it's searching for people who studied at Hamline University. So this is bringing up all of my Hamline people. Again, if I were to click on this connect button that's highlighted, that generic message will be sent. So avoid doing that. Click on their name or their photo, and this will allow you to see their whole profile. Once you're in their profile, there is a blue connect button, and this is the one that you want to use because you can customize your message through this option. All the other ones, it's very generic. If you're using the LinkedIn app, they have a couple of different apps, but again, if you're using that to connect with people, it will be that generic message. In general, you do not want to send that generic message. If it's someone that you know super well and you're using the app and there's no way around it, go ahead and connect. You just want to make sure that that person actually knows who you are. Otherwise, they could flag you, and you have a certain amount of flags that you can get before LinkedIn kind of cuts off your ability to connect with people. So you want to make sure that you're actually connecting with people that you know or customizing that message. So this is the box that you'll see when you attempt to connect with somebody through their profile. So I would select either colleague, classmate, done business together, friend, other, or I don't know this person. And I have to select one of those. But there's a few different options where I can select it. I would personalize that message and send it off, and that would be great. Sometimes if you select other, it will allow you to connect with this person without doing anything else. But sometimes what happens is when you select other, maybe I met this person at a conference, so none of those other things apply. It may prompt me to insert their email address, and there's a number of that might happen. It could be that the recipient has set up their email preferences to only receive invitations from people that they know. It could be that you send out a lot of invitations and the recipients have clicked I don't know this person multiple times. Maybe you've already sent that person an invitation. So a whole bunch of different reasons, but do whatever you can to make that message as specific as possible. It's okay to connect with people that you haven't met, but you want to tell them why you're trying to connect with them. If you already know them in some capacity, maybe you took a class together 2 years ago. You can select classmate and then still customize that message of, it was great having this particular class with you. I'd love to stay in contact for future opportunities, something along those lines. Another way to build your contacts is through adding your contacts from your email. So I would imagine a lot of you are using Hamline's email account. there's kind of a loophole that I figured out of how to add your contacts from your email. So if you remember the main screen on your LinkedIn profile where it says network, add contacts, there's an option where you can select to import or for it to search through your email contacts. The Hamlin email account does not allow you to do that. If you have a generic Gmail account, you can just type it right into the LinkedIn profile search. I've done it before. It's secure. It works pretty well. But if you're using your Hamlin email account, this is a really good way to do it. So you want to pull up your email account first. This screenshot is from your email account, not LinkedIn. And on the left-hand side where it says Mail normally, there's a drop-down menu where you can select Contacts. Then, after that, you're going to go to the More option on the top of the page with the drop-down menu. Select Export. And then the format that you select is Outlook CSV format for importing into another application. So it sounds a little confusing. I'll repeat that again. Go into your Mail. Under the Mail on the left-hand side of the page, select the drop-down menu and choose Contacts. And then scoot over to the More drop-down menu, select Export, and then export the Outlook CSV format for uploading to other applications. And when you do this method, it's going to create a file for you, a CSV file. Once you've done that, you can go back into LinkedIn where you can upload your file. So it's an import option under the Add Connections menu. So this is a really nice way that LinkedIn will sort through your email contacts for you. When you do this step, it will bring up people in LinkedIn that already have profiles that you've emailed in the past, and you can select if you want to connect with them. I wouldn't recommend connecting with everybody this way because you're going to be emailing and connecting with everybody. Just pick and choose the ones that you actually do want to connect with, and you can still personalize a message when you want to connect with them individually, which I think is a nice strategy. Another option is under My Network, choose the Find Alumni drop-down menu. And this is a fairly new feature of LinkedIn, probably within the past, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years. So this page pulls up Hamlin alums, which I think is really awesome. There's a lot of different ways that you can use this page. You can use it to add connections, certainly. So you can see there's over 14,000 people that are connected to Hamlin University. You can see the little blue bars are filters, so I can see where they live, where they work, what they do. And then below, there are all the people that fit that criteria. So maybe I want to just connect with alums that, I don't know, graduated the same year that I graduated. You can see up on the menu where it says Search This Set, right next to it, there's attended dates. So I could adjust those dates for people that attended when I went to school at Hamlin as well. Search those people. I can connect with them if I want to. You can also use this feature to do a lot of other things. Maybe you're looking to transition into a different field, or you're looking to get into a new area that you don't really know much about yet. Maybe setting up an informational interview with someone that does that work could be pretty helpful, or works at a place that you're interested in. So you can narrow down all those filters. If I wanted to actually meet with someone to do an informational interview, I would click on Greater Minneapolis-St. Paul area, the one that's highlighted here and says there's a little over 10,000 people, because that's going to filter out all the other people that aren't local, and I know I want to actually meet with them. And then I can look at the other filters as well, maybe where they work. If I knew I wanted to work at Target, I could select that and then just see the local people that work at Target. Maybe I don't really care where they work, but I know what I want to do. So I could choose one of those filters. And there's little arrows on the sides of these pages as well. And if you tab over, you can see also what they majored in, how you're connected to them, and a couple of other features as well. So I would encourage everybody to play around with this tool. It's very handy. Again, a lot of different ways you can use it. And just so you can see under these people's photos, you can see the grad year. So this first one was Zach Johnson. He graduated in 2014. You can sift through them that way as well to see, you know, when did he graduate? Is there a reason that I might want to connect with him versus an older graduate? So play around in that system. It's pretty fun. For researching, like I mentioned, LinkedIn, there's a lot of different ways to research. People is a very common one. Up in the very top of your screen, there is that general search bar. You can choose the drop-down menu to go to people, and then I always like using the advanced search when I'm able to. So I leave that search box blank and just click on advanced. And in here, I can really type in anything that I'm interested in. So maybe I'm wanting to do one of those informational interviews, and I know the type of career title that I'm looking for, but I don't have anyone in particular in mind. I can just type in that career title into the title box and search and see who pops up. Or maybe I'm looking for someone that works at a certain company. Or maybe I met somebody and I can remember their first and last name, but I have no idea where they work. I can type in that information. Lots of different ways to find people on here. I can also search through my own contacts this way. You can see under relationship, there's first connection, second, group, and third. What these mean, the first degree connections, I am directly connected to that person on LinkedIn. Second connections mean that we have someone in common that we both know. Group members mean that we're both part of the same group on LinkedIn. There's tons of different groups on here, so if we're both part of one of those groups, I could search that way. And then third, and everyone else, that's just kind of the extended network on here. You can also research companies on LinkedIn. And again, through that drop-down menu, just select company, and you can type in whatever company you're interested in. Maybe you know the specific company name. I did Best Buy just as an example on here. Maybe you know the industry that you want to get into, but you're not really sure what companies are in that industry. It's a really good way to research and generate some ideas. Or a keyword, and that will all bring up different company pages that are on LinkedIn. So these are my results for Best Buy. And if I click on that first company name to see a little bit more, this is the type of screen that will pop up for me. So this is the company page. I can see a little bit of information about them. On the home page right now, if I clicked on See More, I could see kind of a full description of Best Buy, their headquarters, where they're located, what type of organization, how many employees they have, a whole bunch of good information about that company. And then they also have kind of a news feed right on their company page. So under recent updates, you can see that they posted something about helping 25 different students at the Teen Tech Center. So now if I'm going in for an interview with this company, I have relevant stuff to talk about, I know what they've been up to, or if I'm just researching to figure out, is this company a good fit for me, might I want to work there one day, I can learn a little bit more about them through this page. I also like that you can see how you're connected to this company. So over on the right-hand side of the screen, it says that I have 4 first-degree connections, so people that I'm directly connected to. I tend to forget things sometimes, so if I come to this page, I can see who I already know that works at Best Buy. It's kind of a nice way to jog my memory. So if I wanted to learn more about it, I could certainly reach out to any of my 4 connections here, ask for an informational interview, grab coffee with them, and just talk a little bit more about their experience working at Best Buy. However, if I'm not directly connected to anyone yet, I also know the people that I could reach out to connect with and ask them to learn a little bit more about where they're working and what they like. I can also click on these people's profiles if I feel like, yes, this is a company that I want to work with someday. I can read about their career trajectory, where they started, what the steps were in between. Maybe they started right at Best Buy. Maybe this was a 3rd career for them. I can see the types of keywords that they have in their profile, how they've described their experiences. Maybe they have a nice summary in there. It can help me generate ideas as well. And then at the top of this page, I can also see how many different people are following this company. You can see Best Buy has quite a few followers because this is a huge company. But if it was a company that I was interested in learning more about, potentially working at someday, I could also follow the company just by clicking on that yellow follow button. And that way I would get updates about what's going on with them. And if it's a smaller company, maybe they only have 50 followers. If now I click on follow because I'm really interested in working with them, somebody is managing that Best Buy page or that smaller company page, so they're going to get a notification that they have a new follower. Now, if I have in my headline that I'm seeking opportunities in XYZ type of industry, and that's them, they could potentially reach back out to me and say, you know, I see that you're looking for opportunities. Our company is actually hiring right now. Would you want to submit a resume? So lots of nice ways that you can use the company pages. They also have a careers tab. Not every company has this option, but a lot do. If I click on that careers tab, I would see a lot more information about the types of positions they hire for. If they have any active postings, I would see that. Sometimes they even have videos or information about what it's like to work at that company. So it's a good way to do some of that research as well. I mentioned previously that LinkedIn does have jobs. And again, from that main drop-down menu, you can search jobs. And like I mentioned before, I like using that advanced search. So I click on that as well. You could type in a keyword of a type of organization you're interested in or a type of thing you want to do within your job. You could type in a title that you're interested in holding or a company. A lot of different ways to search. Maybe you want to stay local. You could type in the zip code, and this will bring up a bunch of different jobs that are in your area. There's a box that I highlighted at the very bottom of this page, and this is experience level. This is very, very handy as well. So if you're a current student or a recent graduate and you want to find those jobs that are appropriate to your level of experience, you can select the options that fit you. So maybe it's entry level or associate, or maybe you're looking for an internship. You can use that filter on here as well. Before you apply for any positions through LinkedIn, make sure that you've edited your profile and that you've got good keywords in there and that you're proud of what you're kind of presenting on here. Sometimes if you apply right through LinkedIn, the only information that that employer has about you is your profile. If you're not feeling confident with just applying with your profile, go to that company website and see if they have the posting on there as well, and you can apply the more traditional route with your resume and a cover letter. You also want to make sure that you have enough information about that company or organization to kind of make an informed decision. Add connections ahead of time because you can learn from those connections of what does this organization look for in candidates that they hire, what might they be looking for in profiles that they're reviewing. So just some tips before you apply. So this is an example where I just typed in IT as the keyword. Maybe I really have no idea what's out there, but I know that I want to work somewhere in IT in this area. So IT and my zip code are what I plugged in. And now this is giving me a list of different jobs that are available. I can see the different companies that they're connected to, the titles for the positions, a lot of different things on here. So I would scan through, see if there are different types of positions that look interesting to me. I could save that particular job, or if I put in a lot of good filters, I can save that search. And I like doing this because you can set it up to send you emails that fit. If there are new positions that fit that criteria, you're going to get an email with job updates. So if you're actively searching, I think it's a great idea to do this. You can set up a few different searches as well. Groups is another option within LinkedIn. This is a screenshot of the Hamline University Alumni Group. This is a group that you can all join and should join. It allows you to have conversations with other alums, be up to date if there are different workshops going on or different events that you might need to be aware of. Hamline actually has a wide variety of different groups. I'll show you some more in just a moment here. But you want to participate in groups as well. You want to add value to the group pages so you can share information with people. And Hamline University Alumni Group is just one example. There are tons of different groups on here. There are job search groups. There are groups for different interest areas. I'm in a variety of different types of career counselor groups. So it connects me with professionals that are sharing common interests. So you can post conversations in here. You can see that there's also a jobs function. Sometimes people post jobs through these specific groups as well. If you're unsure of what type of content you want to contribute or you just feel like you don't really have new stuff, a really good tip is to set up a Google alert. So if you're not familiar with these, go to google.com/alerts and you can type in a keyword or an interest area that you have. And what this does is it sets up an email for you, so you'll be pushed information on that topic. So if I was in a group for, I don't know, biology majors, for example, if one of my keywords was biology or something a little bit more specific, I'd get get a lot of information just sent to me about that topic, and if I feel like it was a good article or some interesting information, I can just copy and paste that link and post it in a group. And the benefit of doing that is like what you can see below here. There's a photo, there's a name, and there's a title. So now you're back on people's radars, which is what you want to be seen on here, basically. So if you're posting relevant content, now people are going to think, oh, that Meredith, she's always posting really good information to these groups. She's probably a decent professional. She's got good stuff going on. And that's kind of the perception that you want people to have of you. So be active in these groups. You can ask questions. You want to participate and add value as well. All right, so this slide has more information about all of the different Hamlin groups. I just typed in Hamlin University to the group search bar, and these are all the different ones that come up. So I would encourage you to join as many different groups as apply. I think the max is about 50 groups. That's quite a bit, but you might have different interests that change over time, so you can join groups, you can get out of groups, and you can manage all of that right through your settings as well. So we're nearing 2 o'clock here, and I want to be respectful of people's time. So I'm just going to quickly check and see if there were any questions that came through the chat menu. Otherwise, if you do have questions that come along, you can always reach out to me directly. Connect with me through LinkedIn, try to customize that message if you want to practice, or Hamlin's Career Development Center email and contact information is listed right on this slide as well. So thank you all for joining me today. It doesn't look like we have any questions that have come through. So I hope you all learned a lot, and again, feel free to reach out to me if you do have questions that pop up over time. Thank you.